Hey everyone, it's the Ioniq guy here, and today I want to talk to you guys about level 1 charging. This car comes with a level 1 115 volt charger from Hyundai, and maybe for some of you that could suffice on a day-to-day basis in terms of your daily commute. You just dropped all that cash on this car, maybe you don't need a level 2 charger. So I crunched the numbers and I'm going to share what I found out with you guys coming up. Thanks to Recurrent for sponsoring today's video, but more on that later. So some background on my charging habits. On a day-to-day basis, my commute to work is 30 miles round trip. If I go out of that realm, that's kind of out of the ordinary. Most of the places I need to stop and run errands after work are on my way home, so they don't add much extra distance on top of my daily commute. Obviously, daily commutes are going to range from 5 miles to 200 miles round trip. So for me, I have been charging for the last 3 months on only level 1 charging. That's on a 15 amp circuit at 1.3 kW. And it's been plenty. I get home from work around 3 p.m. and the car gets plugged in on level 1 and charges from then until 5:30 the following morning. More than 12 hours. I could theoretically charge this car and recoup my daily commute in just about 8 hours. So I put together a spreadsheet that's going to break all this down for you, and you can look at this and evaluate whether level 1 might be just enough for you in your daily commute. So the way I built this spreadsheet is whether you can charge for 8 hours minimum, 10 hours, or 12 hours per night. So I also set up this cheat sheet for people who use kilometers and use kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which seems to be the standard for what other countries outside of the US use to measure their efficiency. So if you can charge for a minimum of 8 hours per night and your average efficiency that you're seeing is 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour, you can regain 26 miles in that 8-hour period. So me right now, in the middle of summer here in the Northeast, I'm averaging between 3 and 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So I can gain between 31 and 36 miles per night in that 8-hour period. And that equates to a distance from home to work of 16 to 18 miles. My one way is 15 miles. So in as little as 8 hours of overnight charging on the level 1 charger, I can recoup what I lost that day. So for me, plugging in on the level 1 charger is perfect, and that's what I do. My girlfriend was driving to Providence on a daily basis, which was eating up 160 miles every day. So I was letting her use the level 2 charger, which is outside of my home, because she needed it. She wasn't going to be able to recoup what she lost on a day-to-day basis to be able to get back the following day. So because I'm charging for well over 12 hours per night, and my efficiency is 3 to 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, I could theoretically drive 47 to 55 miles per day and still recoup all that energy overnight. So even if my commute changed a little bit, I would still just keep charging with the level 1 charger. So this sheet that I made assumes that you only want to recoup as much as you use on a daily basis. Level 1 charging could still potentially work for you if, say, you start the week with 80, 90, 100% charge and you only can charge for 4 or 5 hours per night. You could still recoup a little bit and then run it down again the next day, recoup a little bit more, and throughout the week your charge level would still continue dropping, but it wouldn't be dropping as significantly if you didn't charge it all overnight. So that right there is too granular for me to be able to calculate for you. So based on your commute, you would have to do the math on that one, but you could still potentially just get by charging on level 1. So I can't speak to the entire world, but I know that at least in Canada, you guys use 115 volts is your base level voltage, as opposed to in Europe where your base level voltage is 230 volts. So level 1 doesn't really exist in Europe and other parts of the world like it does here in the US and I guess just North America in general. So this video is mostly relevant to people living in the US and Canada. Like I said, I don't know every other country that uses 115 volts as their base level voltage for their circuits. So I will drop a link below for a link to a read-only version of this cheat sheet in Google Sheets, and you can take a look and really see if level 1 will work for you on a day-to-day basis. Of course, there's going to be instances where level 1 isn't going to work for you. If you have a busy weekend driving around running errands and you come home and then you got to go somewhere within the next 4 or 5 hours, having a level 2 charger is going to give you significantly more power in that brief time versus a level 1. So I think it's a good idea just to have a level 2, just in case you really need it. But on a day-to-day basis, you can most likely get by with just level 1. And because we're a 2 EV household, it's just easier for her to have a charger for herself and me to have a charger for myself. This way we're not moving cars, we get home at different times, so I could charge outside for a few hours, but then I gotta go out and move it so that she can park there and charge her car. So I really just like the convenience of having 2 separate chargers in the house. Unfortunately, the infrastructure for people who rent or live in condos still isn't as great as it should be. I know a lot of people probably could get by with a level 1 charger, and because people's condo complexes or apartment complexes don't install level 2 chargers, or even level 1 chargers that is, people are charging at DC fast chargers once a week just to be able to get to work, and then after 5-6 days go back and charge up again. I was doing that earlier this year, and it just got old really quick. I was saving some money, I was saving some of the credits I'd be banking from my solar power for the winter, but at the end of the day, I just didn't really want to sit at the Electrify America stations for 20-30 minutes every 3 or 4 days. So I hope you guys found this video informational. Let me know down below if you guys are level 1 charging or level 2 charging, or even DC fast charging as your main means of juicing the car back up. I know a lot of people are definitely going to be taking advantage of the 2 years of free Electrify America charging. Something I would also like to reiterate, if you're going to buy a level 2 charger, because this isn't going to work for you, please do not buy cheap EVSE equipment on Amazon that isn't UL or at the very least ETL/Intertech certified. I've seen too many photos and reports of people who buy $150, $200 cheap level 2, typically portable EVSE, and melts the socket on their car, melts the handle on the charging connector, melts the charging connector. This isn't a joke. This is a high power piece of electrical equipment charging a massive battery, which is sometimes sitting in your house. I keep my EV in the garage. So if this thing were to catch on fire in my garage, that's it. My whole house is going to be gone. Don't risk your entire property over a couple $100 after you just spent a ton of money on this car. Please don't skimp out on a bad charger. A lot of Amazon reviews are bought and they don't reflect the actuality of how a charger performs. Tom Malogany does a lot of videos on EVSEs. Check out his content. I'll leave a link up top. He's the king of EVSE charging reviews, so he knows his stuff. He has good recommendations. Don't buy a knockoff. Buy a good name brand, ChargePoint Home Flex. The Pulsar is another one. Clipper Creek makes a good one. Just please, protect yourselves, protect your family, protect your property. Don't buy cheap EVSEs. So as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. So those of you who aren't familiar with Recurrent, Recurrent is a brand that connects to your car's telematics systems, and in our case, BlueLink, and they use the telematics data that they receive to calculate battery range, battery health, and longevity. Once you sign up for Recurrent and make a connection between them and BlueLink, they will periodically take data points from your car and use that to calculate certain aspects of the battery's health. So looking here at my latest June report, you can see that even though the EPA rates this car at 256 miles, they show my expected range as being 277 to 288 miles, which is pretty much on point. And due to environmental conditions and my battery charging habits, they expect my range 3 years from now to decrease to 263 to 278 miles. Here you can see how my car stacks up to other cars in the fleet. You can see that my car falls into the upper half of projected range for the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Here you can see my charging habits. You can see that my average state of charge is about 61%. And you can see most of my charging takes place between 30 and 80%, which is really what you want to do to maintain a good healthy battery. Right here you can see a visual of how far I could actually drive from my current position based on that calculated range. And finally, down here at the bottom, how does my range change with temperature? You can see on a very hot day, it's projected I'll lose 4 miles of range, and on a really cold day, it projects I'll lose about 20 miles of range. I don't think that this cold weather range is accurate, as I've had the car in the winter and I know that I cannot do 274 miles in cold temperature. Recurrent is still collecting data on our cars, and as this next winter rolls through, I'm sure they'll get a lot more data to provide a more accurate representation of cold weather range. So the end goal for Recurrent is to work with dealerships to provide battery health reports to prospective customers of used EVs. We're at a huge inflection point with EVs where some of them have been on the market for 4 or 5 years. They're about to start hitting used car lots, and people are going to want to know, is this a healthy battery or am I buying a lemon? You can think of Recurrent as the Carfax of EV battery reports. So thanks again, Recurrent, for sponsoring this video. I urge you guys to check them out and sign up because it has helped me build healthier charging habits for myself and hopefully creating a longer lasting, healthier battery for future owners of this car.